veer too much off topic. What we're going to do, we're going to jump into a quick break. We're going to jump into that DJ Chris Rush mix. And when we come back, we are going to have licensed psychotherapist Loredana Trandu on the phone, or in studio. I butchered the last name now. I messed up the last name.
Okay, you're trying.
But we have her in
studio.
studio.
We're going to have her say her name so that she can correct you.
And we're going to ask her if she could say your name.
I'm sure she can.
That's what we're going to do. All right, guys, we're going to be back talking about seasonal affective disorder. Psych word. All right, everyone, welcome back to Psych Word. You are now on the couch with Rob Gerard and DBP.
Denise Bertolovitz Bomber, what up?
And it's a mouthful.
I had to do it.
That's what she said.
Oh, boy, here we go. And that's how it all starts. And you know what's sick about that? I love when it all starts.
That's a great introduction, I guess, for Loredana Trandu. Loredana, welcome to Psych Word.
I'm very happy to contribute to adding another female in the office here.
Yes, I'm always feeling very empowered when other women are with me. It's a scary world with these two, let me tell you. You never know what's going to happen.
So, Loredana, thank you for coming on the show. Today we're talking about seasonal affective disorder and everything that can come along with it and everything that branches off of it. Now, you're a licensed psychotherapist. Tell us a little bit about that.
My original background was actually in fitness. I started training people on the physical level, and then I recognized that they were bringing their psychological issues into their training.
So let me get this straight. You went from being in the field of fitness to being a licensed psychotherapist.
Yes, it was quite a natural progression.
Now, you were telling me off air that you are big into yoga, and I was telling you about how much I love yoga as well.
Yes.
That's awesome. So is that what you were doing? Were you doing yoga, or were you working in a gym? What so tell me a little bit about the progression, because if you don't start talking, I'm going to talk.
So, well, I will listen. I'm a very good listener. It's my job. And I won't charge you tonight, but...
That's okay. The check is in the mail if you did.
DBP.
I like it here. So originally I owned a fitness facility, and I did a fitness only. I was actually very anti-yoga. I didn't understand it.
Can I cut you off real quick?
You already have. So.
I know. Now, what is your nationality? Because I love your accent.
Romanian and Macedonian.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Man, good luck with that.
So beautiful.
I'm looking at her husband when I said that, by the way. Romanian.
They
that
have
just
a
sounds
beautiful
like
love story.
Does she
beautiful
rule
love
with an
story.
iron fist?
Yes, she does.
But is that before meditation or after?
Only when necessary.
All right. So sorry about cutting you off for the third time in 4 minutes.
It's okay.
So back to what you were saying now.
So yes, there was we had a fitness facility, and I was training people, and I would watch them lose and gain the same 20 pounds over and over again. And also, during the winter, there were times when they tended to eat more carbs, and there's actually a scientific explanation behind that we could get to, like in a little bit. But I was witnessing their suffering, and I wanted to help further. So that's when I sold the gym, and I went on a soul search, which led me to yoga in the Tyrol Mountains, where I got certified as a yoga instructor and meditation teacher.
In the mountains.
In the mountains.
By any particular teacher?
Shivananda Yoga. Yes, so okay. Shivananda, Vishnu Devananda, those were my teachers.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So the fitness journey, it's interesting, right? Everything in life starts with a soul-searching decision and then a journey. So you say you went on this journey. What triggered that, though? I mean, was it just the instability of the up and downs? Anything specific that you can talk to that?
Yes, I witnessed in the facility that where I work that people were being so judgmental of each other. There was so much stress to look perfect, and that was affecting people's moods. And I just wanted to help.
It sounds like what goes on in the studio. I try to come in, I feel like I want to be myself, but Denise just judges me so badly.
Well,
and
now we have help in the
make
studio.
You feel?
It just makes me
How
feel...
do you feel about that?
I feel less than. I go home and cry.
You know what? I'll leave you next time. I'll bring some Kleenex. You can take them home with you next time.
It's okay.
Tough love.
You brought me a cake. That's even better.
You know what? Cake from Whole Foods. That's from Whole Foods. I don't buy you presents.
Cake
Whole
is
Foods
not
gave
love.
you.
And it's
no,
chocolate.
cake is not love. You know what? Let's talk about that.
Cake is not love?
So our topic
Loredana.
she. You know what? Tell me more about that. Why is cake not love?
Well, no, but
Half our listeners just tuned out, by the way.
It's chocolate
I do not.
cake.
If cake is not love, I do not want to listen to anything Loredana has to say. But the truth is that with depression, the serotonin levels drop.
Yes.
And guess what we use to bring them back up?
Chocolate.
Food.
Refined carbs.
Refined carbs.
The problem with that is that there's only a temporary lift in serotonin and then the crash where we are even more sad than before.
It's like cocaine.
You know, it's interesting you're talking. So our topic for tonight is seasonal affective disorder. We're talking about the winter blues and depression and the seriousness of this topic, right? So
Absolutely.
As we all know, we live in the Northeast. This is a Connecticut-based talk show. We are struggling with this weather. It
Yes.
just seems like this winter does not want to leave us.
Truth
Saturday,
bomb.
we're supposed to have another storm. So let's talk about seasonal affective disorder, some of the symptoms, and then how do you recognize when you really do need to seek help. So a lot of people, in my opinion, kind of walk around, oh, I'm sad, I'm depressed. They think it's a feeling, right? Just a feeling of emotions, not necessarily, right? It could be triggering physical feelings. So depression is feeling emotions and also feeling physical effects of those seasonal affective disorder. Seasonal affective disorder is very common in women and in men. From what I understand, it is most common between the ages of 18 and 30 is when it starts, but it can start anytime. Surprising as it may seem, seasonal affective disorder is not just a winter disease. There's also summer cases of seasonal affective disorder. For this particular show, I apologize. For this particular show, we are going to speak just about the winter blues and how to associate when you need help. But just be aware that there are cases where you could be feeling down in the summer and it may be associated with seasonal. But some of the things that are symptoms are feelings of hopelessness and sad, often thoughts of suicide, and if that's a very serious issue, there are cases where you need to call a suicide hotline or seek help immediately.
Yes.
Symptoms could also just mean a drop in energy level, decreased physical activity, fatigue,
Insomnia.
or wanting to actually sleep more often. So a need for more sleep is a very common seasonal affective disorder. Difficulty concentrating, irritability, like I'm constantly irritated with you, Rob.
Yes. Well, Loredana, so Denise is just mentioning not wanting to get out of bed or wanting to stay in bed, sleep too little, sleep too much. How can someone break that cycle? How can they, if they're not motivated to get up and do something, how can they get motivated?
That's actually a very good point because I used to have clients that I would recommend, if you don't feel well, go for a walk. And sometimes their response would be, don't you think I would if I could? Because sometimes for a person who is truly depressed, even getting up to take a shower could be an incredibly difficult task.
Especially with like clinical depression, but that's kind of something different than what we're talking about. But yes,
but the symptoms could be very similar, and someone that has seasonal depression will tell you because it happens every time during the same season and there's the same symptoms. But you have to meet the person where they are, and we talked a little bit before the show started about the importance of breathing.
Yes.
So breathing you could do whether you're in bed or walking or anytime. As long as you're alive, you could breathe, and you could use the breath in ways that will help you alleviate your symptoms.
Yes.
So even we actually breathe 25,000 times a day, approximately.
Wow.
And the question is, how many of those breaths are conscious breaths? How can we use those to connect us to the present moment, to get us out of the head, where for a depressed person, we get stuck in a pattern of negative thinking that just feeds that vicious cycle. The big secret, ta-da, you cannot focus on your breath and think at the same time.
Because you're
Really?
really
So tell us
thinking
more.
about your breath, right? I mean,
Well, you're not thinking about it, but you are feeling the touch of the air inside the nostrils as you breathe. You could even try it now. You could feel when you inhale, the body expands, and when you exhale, the body softens, right? So you experience the present moment through the physical sensations that are happening now. You can't think about the present moment. The moment you think about it, it's already past.
did you get all that, Chris Rush?
Yes, I did.
So it's controlling your breath to maintain the feeling of now.
To connect you, it's an anchor out of the head where we have thoughts of past and future into the experience of the present moment. And that is key to alleviating many of the symptoms. To learn to relax into the present moment, which sometimes could be difficult, is a very important part of healing.
So how does that work with seasonal affective disorder? I mean, just kind of putting a little spin on it with seasonal affective disorder being quite often triggered by the weather and that feeling of being trapped and not wanting to be in the now, right? So I'm in a situation where it's snowing and I'm thinking, oh, I really don't want to be here right now. I really want to be in Hawaii. I want to be somewhere else. How do you control that? Is that an anxiety?
Well, this is a very good point. So a lot of there's this saying where it's not about the situation, but it's about what we think about the situation that causes our suffering. So like you said, it's not so much the coldness or the winter, is that you resist that.
It's perspective.
It's perspective, because for many people, the cold is no big deal, right?
That's true.
Think warm.
That's right.
Think
Right.
warm.
That's a mental control.
Resistance to the form that the present moment takes is the very definition of stress. Resisting what is. Whether it's the cold, whether it's a work situation, if we don't align and accept that this is how it is, and then grow from there, we will suffer.
What causes people to do that, especially though in the case of the winter? What causes people to not accept?
Some people have a sensitivity to cold. I have a big sensitivity to cold, so I'm very prone to being irritable during those times.
My
You know,
girlfriend.
me, I'm running around in short sleeves before, and she was looking at me saying, you and I could never be roommates.
It is true.
So you have a big sensitivity to cold. My girlfriend has a big sensitivity to cooking and cleaning.
Oh, you just, oh boy.
What's up?
I hope you don't have a sensitivity to paying the cleaning lady. Oh boy. Oh
so
boy.
to answer your question, if you have a sensitivity to cold and you have a strong dislike of the cold, yes, you will resist that present moment and you want to disconnect from it, so maybe you will have a cookie. It's just like, I want to be present here and now. If the present moment is unpleasant, I would rather have a cookie.
So this is a Band-Aid.
There's
This is
nothing
just
wrong with
this
the
is a little-
cookie.
So what I'm
a
hearing
cookie.
here is the solution is to eat more cookies.
This
Cookie.
Well, it's a Band-Aid. That's the
interesting
problem.
how
right?
you've shifted my words into what I wanted to hear.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
You
That's
gotta
what
watch the one in the
Loredana-
corner
Loredana,
over there.
it's
Be careful.
perspective.
Your perception, your reality, Chris. I hear you.
So tell me a little about, so there are some concerns about depression, right? So automatically, oftentimes people say, it's common for people to think, oh, I'm depressed, what do I do? Oftentimes people will go to the doctor, and the doctor may, in some cases, just highly suggest medication right away without foregoing any type of test or anything that could possibly avoid all of that. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's very important to talk about that because people have to be informed. Before getting on any type of medication, it's important to know your options. And yes, there are absolutely people that will need meds. Before that gets prescribed, you should have your serotonin tested, your dopamine tested, your cortisol level tested, your thyroid tested. I mean, there are so many tests that you could request to have before you get on an antidepressant. And then also, speaking of yoga, there are 5 points of yoga that are very important, especially for someone that's experiencing depression symptoms. One of them is proper exercise. Exercise is known as being scientifically proven to raise serotonin levels. Proper nutrition. Very, very important what we put in our bodies. If we are depleted, if we eat toxic foods, that will affect our moods.
And when you talk about proper nutrition, what does somebody do? Where does somebody find the resources to define what proper nutrition is? Because, in my particular opinion, proper nutrition to me is a lot different than Rob's idea of proper nutrition. We've had this discussion before.
Denise, that's a good question.
Although Frosted Flakes, I'm just saying.
That's a good question, though, Denise. And Loredana, let me ask you something. I'm not sure how much you know about this, but I heard that depending on your blood type is depending on the type of diet you should have. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, there is this book that you mentioned, like eating right for your blood type. I think there is value to that, but I think the most important thing is, again, not changing what you eat at first as much as how you eat. You have to engage in mindful eating versus mindless eating.
Mindful eating versus mindless
Yes,
eating. Tell us more about that.
I am so good at mindless eating, and I'm not saying it as a joke, but I will sit there in front of the TV, and I'll feel like I need to be doing something with my hands.
But that's
So I'll
almost,
snack.
That's almost trained behavior, though. So we need to practice mindful eating versus mindless eating. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So that means slowing it down, eating without distractions, eating slowly. My yoga teacher says chew everything 32 times, but let's face it, that may not be an option for many of us.
So when you say eating without distractions,
No
I know
TV, no reading, no
Okay.
texting.
this is a great message for our listeners who work in offices. No eating at your desks. There's as much as it's a busy world, take some time to
It's
yourself.
self-care.
Mindful
It's
eating.
It's giving yourself the message that you matter, right? That you want to take a little
Very
bit of time
important.
and have a date with yourself.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I date myself all the time.
Hey, no one knows you better than you,
That's
Denise.
right. Hey, you know what? I like dating me.
So, and then smelling the food, noticing the texture of your food, holding it in your mouth, because by holding the food in your mouth before you swallow, you release the digestive enzymes that help you digest the food better. But more so, you get a chance to make a choice because you will start recognizing how certain foods make you feel. We all have incomparable, unique systems. So whatever food is good for me may not be good for you. There is no standard diet for each and every one of us. It's important to learn to trust ourselves again, but in order to do that, we have to pay attention to ourselves.
So it's
And
awareness.
if we are distracted, we won't be able to get those subtle messages that our psyche is bringing up to the surface, asking us specifically for what we need to feel good.
Awareness, then. Awareness to our own selves.
Awareness gives us a chance to make a choice.
So going back to seasonal affective disorder and just some of the signs of depression. So be mindful of what you're eating. Be aware and conscious of being in the moment. Watch
Exercise.
your breathing. Exercise. We were talking a little bit about yoga.
Yes.
How about meditation, and a little bit more on the topic of meditation?
Meditation is extremely important. There have been recent studies showing that meditation increases DHEA levels, which is a hormone secreted by the adrenal glands. It's responsible for feelings of well-being, for memory, for great metabolism function. It goes on and on.
You had me at metabolism function.
Which is that again?
DHEA.
DHEA.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a hormone released by the adrenal glands. And it's inversely correlated with cortisol levels. So when the stress is high
Yep.
and the cortisol levels go up, the DHEA goes down, and inversely.
So, and that's what we don't want, because that is what causes, excuse my term, muffin top, and a lot of
when
that
the cortisol levels
storage.
are up, the body feels like it's under threat, so it holds on to fat to protect the organs.
which is what we don't want. I think that's what's happening now with all these winter blues and everything that's happening. I think we all feel like with the snow we're all under
It's a
threat.
vicious cycle. So DHEA comes up with meditation, right? It has to be a daily practice, 20 minutes a day to bring that up, but it's invaluable. It's an invaluable investment in yourself. With DHEA levels going up, serotonin goes up, dopamine goes up. your mood improves. You start burning fat more efficiently.
You just said something very valuable about investing in yourself. So a lot of times, like some of the symptoms, as we know, with seasonal affective disorder is a feeling of hopelessness and just a feeling of not feeling well, not wanting to get up and get out of bed. How does somebody feel that appreciation for themselves and invest in themselves? And what are the things that you suggest?
It's difficult at first, especially if you let yourself fall in that very low space. And again, some of the depression does have to do with the chemical imbalance. So the dopamine being down actually creates those feelings of hopelessness, of losing le joie de vivre, if you would like to say, like the joy for life. So it's watching the self-dialogue. When we're depressed, we start feeling less than. We start, low self-esteem kicks in. And just being able to witness your thoughts and not believing them, because it's not the thoughts that we have, but it's the thoughts that we believe that get us in trouble.
So it's the thoughts that we believe, which is very interesting. Be careful what you say to yourself, because you just might believe it. I was having this discussion with someone the other day, because again, you're going to be most likely to listen to yourself. So every day, get up, talk to yourself, convince yourself that, hey, you have value. Be careful what you say. You may believe it.
Absolutely. And one of the, like I tell this to my clients all the time, the main goal of meditation, if there is such thing, is to become best friends with who you are now. Not when you're thinner,
Beautiful.
or when you're more voluptuous, or when you have a better job, or when you have another boyfriend. Just the way you are now.
That's so difficult, though. That could be so difficult sometimes, because we have this image of who we want to be, and the media puts this image out of who we should be. So it's all about change and progression and progress and this and that. So how are you supposed to get comfortable with the person that you are if it's been so long that you haven't been comfortable with that person?
So this is a very good point. We do live in a society that's not conducive to unconditional self-love. We are all fed a standard of perfection, if you will, that doesn't honor our unique, incomparable self. Is
there any specific society or culture that you look at and you're like, wow, they really are living the right way? They are living the way the entire world should live.
So, yes, I have a spiritual joke about this. So imagine that you lived in such a place where you would love yourself unconditionally, that you will not judge anyone. They will always be in the moment, always peaceful and content with what life gives you. You would be a dog. Humans are not capable of loving in that way, because we have an intellect, and that intellect gets conditioned. And we all have those self-judgments and internalized self-criticisms. But dogs show us, they are always present, they're always loving, always content with what life brings them. So, yes, it's important to choose not to listen to the negative thoughts. It's important to choose to maybe turn off the TV once in a while, so that you don't constantly get fed these negative messages by the media. We have to choose. 70% of life is actually up to us.
All right, so you kind of skirted my question in a way, and I get what you're saying, live like a dog, they don't care, but they also eat their own feces. So is there a country or a specific culture in the world that you look at and that maybe you've studied, maybe you haven't, and you say they are living right?
Okay, so I would say the yogi community may be the closest you could get to. However, they are also human. So what I'm saying is that there is not one place where everyone is loving all the time. Right? But there are places that are less harsh or less critical.
The what community was that?
Yogic. Like a yoga, like a
yogi.
Oh, yogi. I
not
thought
to
you
be
said
confused
yogi
with Yogi Bear.
That's what I was thinking.
Because I know how your head works.
Hey, boo-boo.
Oh, boo-boo.
So,
I'm telling you.
Okay, so the yoga community.
Yes.
Okay.
However, even in the yoga community, there's judgments. People in the yoga community judge the people that come in wearing Lululemon clothes.
I was totally going to go there.
Right?
I was going to go there. I was thinking
Lululemon?
Yeah, you know what? We need to educate
What's
him
Lulu?
on that.
I mean,
Lululemon is a brand of clothing. It is.
That's become very trendy.
It's very trendy. I would consider it a status label. If you really care about your image and care about what you look like and you want to be the hottest and latest of latest in the fitness community, you wear Lululemon.
Do they make a yoga pants in men's?
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm laughing. Now I'm like, really?
Yeah, not so funny now, is it, Denise?
Not really. Actually, I'm intrigued.
But with
Please
that
do
being
tell me.
said, we actually are
She
responsible.
took my line. With that being said, that's my line.
I love it.
That's how I always tie things together. I like your style.
I love it.
I like your style.
The point being, though, is that we are actually responsible for creating the society or the community that we want to live into.
Truth bomb.
You know, we could live in the society and not let it touch us.
Yeah,
We have
that's
to
true.
choose, because if we don't take responsibility, we become victims to the society. And that's not a good place to be. That is depressing.
Let me ask you this. I am just going to give you, hypothetically speaking, I am really feeling terrible about myself right now. It's winter. I'm struggling to get out of bed. I can barely get my stuff done. Everything's starting to impact my job, my life. I don't want to return my phone calls. All these things are happening. What do I do? What can I do? What can I do to help myself?
First, take a deep breath.
In
Okay.
through the nose, out through the mouth.
Okay, take a
Who's
deep
the
breath.
yoga instructor here? Mr. DJ.
We're going to one of her classes.
Listen,
Just so you know, this is going down. We are going to a class.
do you still teach yoga?
Absolutely.
Where do you teach yoga?
Transcend Mind Body Training, 1735 Post Road, East Fairfield, Connecticut.
East Fairfield. Sounds like the hood.
In Fairfield.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I've never. No,
There's
I never heard
nothing wrong
anyone
with
say.
being in the hood.
No. I love Fairfield, but I never heard of East Fairfield, so that's why. But okay, so are we going? Do you do Bikram there, or what? What's
no,
your
I
style?
do not do Bikram. I teach Shivananda yoga, and I also teach what's called mindful fitness, which is basically incorporating yoga movements into a personal training program and making it individualized.
I think we need to go. I think Denise and I need to go.
This is something we're going to do.
This is something we're going to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Wednesday nights, right? Once a
Wednesday
month you
nights,
have.
no, once a week.
Once a week.
Oh, that's it. Wednesday nights.
Yes, Wednesday nights.
Transcend Mind
That's-
and Body in Fairfield, Connecticut. If anybody does want to get involved, so every Wednesday from what time?
7 to 8.
7 to 8.
It's a meditation and stress management class. It's a free class, and all donations.
A free class.
Yes, go to charity, to local charities.
This I love. This is
Wow.
one thing I do love about Transcend Mind and Body. They are involved in the community. If
I love
you
it.
do want to get involved with this class, you can reach the studio at 203-955-1068. Again, that's 203-955-1068. You can find
Yes.
them at www.transcendct.com, and there will be information there about your practice and other meditation classes
Absolutely, and
and
if-
what you have
If
to
anyone
offer.
has questions about meditation, breathing techniques, yoga, nutrition, we are open 7 days a week.
So you
and
do
they
it
can
all pretty much.
contact
You're
me.
a jack of all trades.
She is the butcher, the baker, and the yoga candlestick maker.
The butcher, the I like
I've
that.
never
Okay.
been described quite in that way before. but,
You're a butcher. You're a
yes.
baker.
We must embrace it. Embrace.
I embrace, yes.
So one quick question. I know, as we're moving through the show, I just want to talk really quick to you about light therapy. Have you heard of light therapy? What do you recommend?
Yeah,
for-
I mean, light has to do with vitamin D. We need to absorb light because vitamin D is very important to our balance and to our well-being. So, yes, being in the sun is very important during the winter. That may not be possible. So that's, I think, where light therapy comes into place, and it could be helpful.
Okay. So again, Transcend Mind and Body is located
Counseling Center, yes.
in Fairfield, Connecticut. We appreciate you, Loredana Trandu, for coming in, sharing a wealth of knowledge. You have so much to share with the community. I highly suggest a Wednesday class. Rob and I will be attending.
I hope so.
So I look forward to that. Transcend Counseling brings an important evolutionary step to traditional therapy by incorporating fitness and meditation into psychotherapy. So again, we really appreciate you being part of the show. And any closing thought?
Just breathe, be present, and have a cookie if you really want to.
Oh, I love it. We got permission.
I love it. I love it. Thank you
Thank you
very
guys
much.
so much.
Thank
It's
you for
been
being with
so
us.
nice to
Thank
see
you very much. And we're going to post all your information on our Facebook page.
Fantastic.
So just in case listeners didn't get it, definitely. Well, thank you very much for coming by. You've been great. And we're going to go into a quick song. And when we come back, we are going to have American band Lotus on the line talking with Psych Word, guys. So stay tuned.